And what she says here is very telling of how the public views Batman right now, because she says, "I knew you could hear me, I knew you'd come help. That's why I don't ever say your name out loud. Big bat ears of yours, I knew they could hear every damn thing in this town." And at first he goes to correct her and be like, "Oh, well, they don't actually do that." But then he sees what's happening here, because he says, "Yes, ma'am, I heard you." And he directs her away from the fire while he goes in to fight the rest of the monsters. But basically what we saw there was that the city views Batman as sort of more than human, as sort of a legend, which I think is the best aspect of Batman, or at least the point that all Batman should want to reach. Because if you're more than human, and if you're more than just a man in a suit, you've become a symbol. You've become something that the city can get behind. So I just think that that's the best way that a Batman can meet his goal. But anyway, he tears through these monsters at this facility, and then Vandal's police just opens fire on this building, because they totally do not care about the safety of people, they just want to kill Batman. And so Batman grapples away, and he calls in the Batmobile, which just plows right through these guys, and he burns out of there, leaving them burnt on catching him once again. And so when he gets back to the Batcave under Pennyworth Mansion, he's approached by Tim Drake, and some people loved this decision, some hated it like a lot. I personally didn't mind this choice, but Tim comes down and he says, "I'm sorry I wasn't on patrol too, we need to talk. You know, sometimes, nights on patrol up on the rooftops, I'd see some pair of people walking, and sometimes I could tell they were just more than that. They were a couple, they fit. I could see it even from all the way up there. Can you imagine a love you can see from the rooftops? And now I think I have that with Bernard, and lying to him about what we do, I think I need a break from this. From us." So he's walking away from being Robin, but the way that Bruce responds may or may not be the way that you'd expect, because he says, "What else have we been fighting for if not that? Tim Drake, you're the bravest soul I've ever known. You can always come back, but I hope you never have to." And Tim brings him right into a hug. Bruce says he's not much of a hugger, but Tim's just like, "Shut up and give me a hug, you big baby." And it's a really touching moment that we see. But next, we see Damian's reaction. And so Damian's kind of sitting behind this door pouting, presumably because he just got bat-dadded to oblivion. And when Tim calls out to him, he says, "I don't have anything to say to you, quitter." And Tim says, "Kinda had a feeling you heard all that." And Damian's like, "Of course I did. I hear everything. At least now I won't have to hear that god-awful motorcycle," which I thought was funny. And Tim says, "I'm not leaving town or anything. We can hang out," but Damian just cuts him off and says, "Why would I want to spend time with a deserter like you?" So he's feeling betrayed. But Tim says, "The world is so much bigger than the Batcave, Damian. I know it sounds impossible to believe, but it's true. I'm only now starting to figure that out,